Boxing truth here. Errol Spence got the Thurmanators shook, shaking in their boots as they don't want their boy to really deep down fight Errol Spence down the line. But that fight's really not in the cards. It's not really going to happen anytime soon. As Spence once stated earlier this year, actually last year when Thurman was fighting Collazo, that he would murk Keith Thurman. He would murk that boy. That was his exact words of Errol Spence. And right now, I believe it. I think Spence beats the shit out of Keith Thurman. I mean, Spence, he passed the eye test. He still doesn't have a top-class win in his career. But neither do a lot of guys in the welterweight division. Not named Timothy Bradley and Manny Pacquiao. I mean, pretty much all the top guys at welterweight have maybe one solid win, one decent win. In the case of Danny Garcia, he doesn't have any top wins at welterweight. Most of his work was done at 140 pounds. So we're still waiting on a impressive win for Danny Garcia at that weight. But Spence has scored 2 solid wins in spectacular fashion. He knocked Chris Algieri out and he knocked Leonard Bundu out. 2 guys that have never been stopped. I don't consider either guy elite, especially at welterweight, but he destroyed both of these guys. He made a statement in his win over Bundu. Bundu was not an easy guy to fight, awkward. He's not elite, but he's a solid guy. He's durable, and he's an awkward guy to fight. And Spence took his time. He placed his punches very well. He established his jab. He showed footwork, showed different intangibles to his game. Would walk Bundu down, then he would box, and he wasn't running away like Keith Thurman was. Thurman had a stinker with Leonard Bundu. He scored a flash knockdown and didn't do jack shit pretty much after that. It was not a memorable fight. It wasn't even an impressive performance, not an impressive win. Won the bout clearly, but didn't wow any fans like Errol Spence did this afternoon on NBC. He straight up just put the lights out on Leonard Bundu. Knocked him out cold in the 6th round. Good uppercuts. And pretty much one up Keith Thurman. Scored a much more impressive win over a common opponent. Was much more explosive. Was stronger. And showed real power. He shows that he's got real power in division. Just like Leonard Bundu, who's got real power at welterweight. Keith Thurman or Errol Spence. I'm pretty sure he'll say it's Errol Spence, by the way. He just got his lights just put out by him. But I'm not going to be overreactive to the win. It's a good win. I mean, it's not a great win or anything. He didn't beat an elite guy. We still have to find out if Spence could take it. He took some shots against Bundu, but Bundu's not a big puncher. He's not the most strongest welterweight. He's durable, he's stocky, but he's not a big puncher. So we still need to know if Errol Spence has great whiskers. He hasn't really fought a puncher, but when you look at the landscape of the division at welterweight, who is the best puncher in the division? On Spence's side, not the other side on HBO, but on Spence's side, within Heyman's stable. You can't really consider Danny Garcia or Keith Thurman elite punchers. Those guys punch better than Bundu and Algieri, but I wouldn't consider those guys knockout artists. They're good, solid punchers, but they're not devastating punchers, especially at welterweight. And Spence is showing some real power. I mean, he's stopped guys that have never been stopped before, destroyed them. Knocked Bundu out cold. And now the plan for Spence is to pretty much go after the IBS strap that is held by Kell Brook, but that fight's not gonna happen. Brooks got a fight with Triple G. It's gonna be a very physical fight with Triple G, and win or lose, I don't really see Brook going back down to welterweight or even returning later this year. I don't see him fighting again in 2016 after this fight with Triple G, win or lose. If he wins, he'll stay at middleweight. If he loses, it most likely will be a devastating defeat and a damaging loss, and he'll probably take the rest of the year off, recover his body, regroup, get his spirits back up, and then probably make a run at 154 pounds. He most likely will be done with the welterweight division. And as for Spence, he'll probably end up fighting for a vacant strap. I would like to see him fight one more time this year. See if he can get that title shot later this year. And he most likely will end up fighting for a vacant strap. And the contenders in order of the IBF under Spence is Ponomarev, the Russian fighter. Also Jeff Horn from Australia. He's rated number 4. And then you got Lamont Peterson at number 5. So it depends on who takes the fight for the vacant strap. I mean, it's hard to believe any contender within the IBF will turn down a world title shot. But when we have to go up against a guy like Spence, then there may be second thoughts of taking that bout. So if Ponomarev doesn't take the fight, then Jeff Horn will be asked. If he doesn't take the fight, then it will go down to Lamont Peterson. And Lamont Peterson will be a decent test for Errol Spence. I mean, Peterson's not a big puncher either, but he punches a little harder than Bundu. He's in great condition. He's got experience. And he could really test Spence's gas tank because Peterson, he comes into fights in great shape. He's shown it in the Danny Garcia fight. It looked like the guy didn't even break a sweat in that fight. It went 12 hard rounds, and the guy looked like he could have went 15 more. So that would be a decent test for Errol Spence. Peterson don't got the power, and he's been stopped before, but it'd be an interesting fight. It'd be a decent fight to watch. If Spence can't get the Brook fight for whatever reason, or if he can't get the other top 2 contenders within the IBF, the Lamont Peterson fight will be a good fight. I don't know what the fuck's going on with Peterson. He hasn't fought the entire year. He's been rumored as an opponent for Miguel Cotto. I really doubt that fight happens. So I don't know what's up with Peterson. Not active. Hasn't done shit at all this year. Coming off a bad performance against Felix Diaz. A fight some people thought he lost. But let's see if that fight is in the cards, and we'll see what the future holds for Errol Spence. But right now, he still has some questions to answer regarding his punch resistance. He needs to fight a puncher within the division. He's yet to do that. He hasn't fought any elite punchers or world-class punchers yet. But I like what I'm seeing. The guy comes to fight. He knocks guys out. He's got real power in the division. He's a threat. And he's going to have a tough time getting fights because he's not a big draw. He's not going to make anybody rich fighting him. But all he can do is, get that IBF strap, and you'll have a better chance to have guys to come line up and fight him because he'll have some more hardware, and unification will create more value for other opponents to take a fight with Errol Spence. But Spence right now arguably could be Heyman's best welterweight in his stable. He's a dangerous guy. He showed a lot of physicality in this fight with Bundu. He's very strong. Has a good jab, good footwork, very good power, and we just have to find out about his chin. But I would favor him against pretty much all of the Heyman guys in the PBC at welterweight. Danny Garcia, I think he murks Keith Thurman like he said he would. I really think he would. I don't see Thurman taking that fight anytime soon. Broner would get his ass whooped by Spence. That'll be a no contest. That fight shouldn't even be considered. But good performance by Spence. Another impressive knockout win to further create intrigue behind his career. And hopefully he can get some big fights and get that title shot later this year. This is Boxing Truth. I'm out.